Our guest on This is America and the World is Dr. Deepak Chopra. Through his efforts as founder of the Chopra Foundation and Chopra Global, Deepak Chopra has worked for years to promote the effects of mind-body practices on positive health and well-being. Dr. Chopra now offers his personal guidance on a new app, Digital Deepak, and he's the author of the recently published Total Meditation, Practices in Living the Awakened Life. Is it possible that we can take a moment out and do a personal inventory? And I'm going to ask you to pose to us several questions, or a number of questions, whichever you choose, to see if we're on the right track. So are there 3 or 4 questions that we could ask ourselves right now that would suggest that we are either asleep or awake?
Yes, there are more than 3 or 4 questions. I call them your soul profile instead of your bio. If I want your bio, I'll go to LinkedIn. But if I want to know who you are, I'd ask you the following questions. May I call you Dennis?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
So Dennis, these are the questions I would ask you. Okay. And you don't have to answer them right now, but the answer would be 1 or 2 or 3 phrases.
Yep.
Question number 1, can you recall peak experiences in your life where we were so joyful that time stopped? Maybe it was falling in love, maybe it was seeing your firstborn child, but peak experiences, do you relate to them? Number 1. Number 2, do you have a purpose in life? Number 3, what is your contribution going to be to your family, to your friends, to the world, to society? Number 4, do you have heroes or heroines or mentors in history, in mythology, in religion, even politics? Number 4, what are the qualities you look for in a really good friend? What do you contribute to a good friendship? What do you expect in a good friendship? What are your unique talents and skills? Are you expressing them? Who's benefiting? What is your story? What's your backstory? What's your story right now? What's your future story? Do you know who you are? Do you know what you want? And are you grateful every day or surprised that you exist? Or do you take existence for granted? Do you react in the moment impulsively, or do you pause? Do you take a few deep breaths? Do you consider what has been asked? And do you respond in the moment with awareness? Are you capable of giving other people unconditional attention and listen to them? Are you capable of appreciating the gift of others in your life? Do you accept everybody in your life without trying to want to change them? These are deeper questions, and if we answer these questions, we will get a pretty good idea of, what life is really about.
Okay, so you say this is what life is about. Are there symptoms that folks could identify, like these questions, that would suggest their life is not working?
Yes, one is boredom, okay? What an amazing opportunity life is in every moment. So one symptom is boredom. Another symptom is anxiety, even existential anxiety, fear of old age, infirmity, death. Another symptom is unhappy relationships. And if these things progress, then symptoms include chronic fatigue, depression. And in the last 2 years, I've also been looking at data on who gets sick and who doesn't get sick, irrespective of what's happening. Who gets COVID morbidity and mortality, for example. Or as we grow older, who gets cancer, heart disease, autoimmune illness. So here's what I discovered. This is very interesting. And you can corroborate this, you don't have to believe me. Less than 5% of disease-related genetic mutations are fully penetrant, which means they guarantee the disease. If somebody has a BRCA gene for breast cancer, they're going to get it. Like Angelina Jolie, she had that gene. She was going to get breast cancer. She had mastectomy. Now, as you know, we are talking these days about CRISPR, and soon there'll be gene editing and all that. But that won't make much of a difference. Only 5% of diseases or less. The rest of those diseases, even those that have genetic predisposition, doesn't matter, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, are related to lifestyle and actually to your mental and emotional state. And I'm not exaggerating. Okay, this is data that is now available, that if you sleep well, if you manage your stress, if you exercise, if you change your diet, if you have good relationships, if you have peace, you're likely to avoid 95% of chronic illness. And this is the bottom line. Every disease you look at, the common factor preceding the disease is low grade. I'm talking chronic disease, not acute illness. I'm not talking about pneumonia or an injury or something, chronic disease like diabetes and cancer, heart disease, etc. If you look at these diseases, the common factor in all of them, meta-analysis, is low-grade depression, low-grade anxiety, and low-grade inflammation that precedes the disease by 20 years. Mm-hmm. And that can be all modified through lifestyle. And today, by the way, you can actually measure it too. So I have a program right now on Fitbit where in real time, you can look at your heart rate variability, your electrodermal activity, your stress levels, your heart rate variability, on and on, in real time, and in real time intervene and see how you can change it in real time. You know, when we launched this program on Fitbit only less than a month ago, we've had 1.3 billion media interests just in this program, digitalizing well-being and in instant real time. So people have been talking about biofeedback for decades, but today we are seeing a new era. It's called bioregulation.
Talking with Dr. Deepak Chopra. Sometimes I think people forget that you are an MD, that you are a physician. Total Meditation is the title of the book, Practices in Living the Awakened Life. Let's take a little break. Back on the other side. This is America and the World. Underwriting for This is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., the National Association for Children of Addiction, Faces and Voices of Recovery, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotendaro Family Trust, the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, and the Embassy Series, Uniting People Through Musical Diplomacy. As I was going to the break, Deepak, you wanted to say something. I got it.
Yeah, not only am I an MD, I'm a professor at the University of California in San Diego, UCSD Medical School. I have recently obtained a professorship in internal medicine at University of Central Florida, and I'm getting an appointment at Mount Sinai also as a professor of medicine. I teach medical students. We do a lot of research at our foundation. We work with institutions like Harvard, UCSD, UCSF. So we are very mainstream, and I have a license to practice medicine at the moment in Massachusetts, California. I'm renewing my license in New York and Florida as well.
You said 5%. We're talking about 5% and about illness, serious illness. And I was thinking about mind, body, body, mind. That was coming into my mind as you were talking. The relationship between them both. And I gathered, and I certainly have known this for a long time, that if you're living constantly under stress, if you're depressed, that's going to show up in your body. as well, huh?
So if you have chronic stress, you have elevated cortisol levels. Cortisol is a steroid that's produced by adrenal glands that compromises the immune system and has many other effects, weakens bones, osteoporosis, leads to diabetes, etc., etc. So you have elevated cortisol levels when you're stressed. You also have elevated adrenaline levels, which cause inflammation, high blood pressure. The combination of excessive hormones like cortisol and adrenaline also messes up other hormones that are responsible for appetite regulation, or self-regulation through the endocrine system, and for immune modulation. So the endocrine system, the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, the immune system, they're entangled. They affect each other, and they're all controlled by what we call consciousness. So if I asked you right now to think of a crisis, maybe loss of a job or loss of money, or just think of something that you're concerned about, visualize it and feel your body, you'll see it. And at the same time, switch now to a joyful experience and feel your body, you'll see it. But that's subjective. Today it's objective, not only digitally, but you can measure everything that is measurable. There's no experience today that is not measurable in the body.
You say again in the book, when you sense stress in a situation, get away as soon as possible.
One option.
Others?
Other options is just put the pause button, take a few deep breaths, smile, and choose your response to the moment. Ask yourself, is there another way to interpret what I'm fearing right now? Your mind is always telling you stories anyway. And one of the things I say to people who's trying to struggle to find a quiet mind is struggling to find a quiet mind is also an activity of the mind. So you can't do it. You have to watch your thoughts, be aware, and actually recognize that you don't have to believe your thoughts. Most of them are magical lies. They're just interpretations of past experience in a certain way, and every interpretation is subject to innumerable other interpretations.
There are wonderful exercises in total meditation, and I liked your approach of when you're facing a particular situation, or just maybe facing life, examining what's right, what's not working, and then what are some possible next steps. And you can apply that pretty much in many different areas of life. You can pause, as you just said, and say, and I guess you would encourage people, if they found something right, to keep on doing it. But this idea of what's not working, talk a little bit about what's not working and how to handle that situation.
Well, people argue with their spouse every day about the same things. It's not working. So why bother? Why do you continue to insist on being the right person? It's not working. So I say to myself and to others, if you just give up that one thing that you want to be right all the time, it'll change your life by 90%. Give up being right. It's not working. It's the basis of every other argument, whether it's political, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. You're wasting your time, and people take it to the extreme with all these filibusters and whatever. It's total insanity. If you want to get what you want, then pursue it and do it in a way that makes sense, rational sense to you, without trying to convince other people. People come and say, what are you doing right? Because you look so peaceful. You have some equanimity. How can I be like that? So, we have many responses to situations in our lives. And the most primitive response is fight or flight. In a threatening situation, we fight or we run. Mm-hmm. The second response, which is also primitive, is the reactive response. It's our ego response. I want to be right. I want to even manipulate you, either by being nice or being nasty or being stubborn or by playing the victim. And 99% of us are stuck there. Now you go one step further, you have something called the restful awareness response, which is what meditation does. But go one step further, if you're rested and aware, you have the intuitive response. Intuitive as a response means an access to an intelligence which is more contextual, holistic, doesn't have a win-lose orientation, but is looking for solutions which are basically based on going beyond the conditioned mind. Beyond the intuitive response, we have the creative response. Beyond the creative response, we have the visionary response. Beyond the visionary response, we have the sacred response, the transcendent response. We're not using these responses. We're stuck in the first two.
Sometimes you can't get from, or you just can't get from other people what they can't give you, right? And that's a big failing that people have in relationships.
Yeah, I agree. Don't waste your time with people who are so asleep that they don't even know that they're asleep.
I want to take a few minutes out in our conversation here to talk about some of the things that you amaze me, that not only in the writing of the books, but also with the foundation and the global work that you're doing, but now this digital Deepak platform. You've got things happening in Arizona and also things happening in Orlando. Talk a little bit about some of the different projects that you get involved in.
These projects happen spontaneously. I don't plan them. So, Digital Deepak is an AI that is a personal coach in 7 areas: sleep, stress management, exercise, mind-body coordination, nutrition, emotions, biological rhythms, and spiritual intelligence. It gets to learn you, it gets to know you. And so Digital Deepak can speak to 7 billion people simultaneously if they have a handheld device, and it gets to know them. I also have an AI bot called Peewee on a site called neveralone.love, which is trying to democratize mental health and well-being. So this little digital Peewee, as her name is, she can, in few seconds, know if you're experiencing mental distress or depression. She has intervened in 500 suicides so far, millions of conversations happening with her, because some people are more comfortable talking to a machine than to a human being. Just tells you how incomplete our humanity is. So we have 2 AI bots that are actually now helping people with mental challenges, but also physical training for optimal health. Savannah is a health resort where we have a 1-week experience on what we call perfect health, where people go through mind-body techniques, rejuvenation, changing their diet, learning about emotions and how to feel your way through the world and how to elicit the creative response in any situation. But as I said, these are projects that come spontaneously because people ask for them. And then I respond and I see if we can create a technology. So the Fitbit is actually the latest. And I'm looking forward to a future where we can see technology, including AI, VR, immersive dreamscape experiences, and bioregulation, all measurable to optimize well-being. That's my passion.
I want to read a couple of other quotes that I picked up from the book. I just think that they deserve to be aired and have you make a comment. You can't stop someone from reacting to you the way they want to react.
Yeah, I mean, we think somebody else is going to change so I can feel better. It's hard enough for me to change when I want to change. Expecting somebody else to change so I feel better is insanity.
How about getting what you want often involves giving someone else what they want?
I found that to be true throughout my life. If you want to be successful, make somebody else successful. In fact, if you want to make money, help other people make money. If you want love, give love. If you want peace, be peaceful. Whatever you want, you can get by giving it away.
How about it's easy to say no to things that are new and unknown?
Yeah, because that's how we are conditioned. We're conditioned to say no instead of yes, instead of saying, show it to me. There's a difference between being a cynic and a skeptic. Skeptic is healthy attitude. It says, I'm open-minded, show me the proof. I've faced skepticism all my life, and that's been very helpful to me. But cynicism is something totally different. It says, I have a closed mind, don't even talk to me about it, leave me alone. And by the way, cynical mistrust is a risk factor for inflammation and even premature death from heart disease.
So we take the two programs that we've done, and I'll ask you to kind of put a cap on it all, talking about sleeping our way through life and waking up, being more aware, and being more conscious of what's going on in our lives.
If you sleep your way through life, you will have spent your life like everybody else who's sleeping their way through life. And that's unfortunately the reactive and the fight flight response, which has caused havoc in our world right now. Havoc, war, terrorism, contentiousness, arguments, filibusters, murder, all the kind of things that we are so now disgusted with: racism, bigotry, hatred, prejudice, power mongering, influence peddling, cronyism, corruption. Is this the way to live? Ask yourself. Or if you wake up and you say, I can be joyful in this moment and life is precious, this particular experience I'm having is unique, never happened in the history of the universe, is never going to happen anymore. In fact, this moment is without history. It's unique. It's precious. It's never happened in the entire history of the universe and will not happen. It's precious. Okay. So I go to my favorite poet, Rabindranath Tagore from India. He says, that I exist is a perpetual surprise. And if I'm not perpetually surprised by my existence and awake to it, then life is not worth living.
So too much focus on the out there as opposed to in here?
Yes. And also, when I plan something in the future, what am I going to do in this situation with this person, around lunchtime, this and that, and then it rains and the lunch is canceled. What a waste of time. Okay. The other day, somebody was going to Europe for a program, and she was very concerned about vaccination, this, that, the other. I said, do what needs to be done, but don't think about it. And then, the thing she was going to Europe for got cancelled. So don't spend your time brooding about the future or regretting the past or resisting what is right now in front of you. Be open and fresh and joyful, because this moment is precious.
What does the phrase I am mean to you?
The phrase I am means I am infinite possibilities. I'm infinite creativity. I'm infinite correlation. I'm also infinitely unpredictable. I'm comfortable with uncertainty, because without uncertainty, there is no creativity. It becomes an algorithm. Imagine if everything was certain in your life, how boring it would be. And finally, I am also means I choose my intentions and what I give attention to. Right now, we are living in an economy where everybody is competing for your attention. That's what people are doing. They're making money off your distraction. You've never given attention to yourself. Take a few moments and be aware of yourself. Just ask yourself this moment, am I aware? And see what happens. What are you aware of this moment? Who is it that is aware of being aware? It's a great mystery. Existence is a mystery. There's no answer to why we exist.
Can I say that I'm aware of a wonderful conversation with you this afternoon?
I'm grateful to you, Dennis, for this conversation. And I wish you all the joy in the world.
Thank you. That's a nice thing to say. Total Meditation, Deepak Chopra. It is a wonderful book, and it is packed with so much that can change your life. Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
If you are in crisis or know someone who is, these resources offer immediate help. For information about This Is America and the World, visit our website, thisisamerica.net, or our YouTube channel, This Is America TV, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Underwriting for This Is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., the National Association for Children of Addiction, Faces and Voices of Recovery, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotendaro Family Trust, the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, and the Embassy Series, Uniting People Through Musical Diplomacy.